The crime was so famous, Hollywood was even inspired to make a movie about it. You may remember Goodfellas. Well, one of the men behind the real heist of a Lufthansa cargo building back in 1978 got away with it for more than 35 years, until today, when the game was finally up.
In 1990, Martin Scorsese released a film that forever changed the gangster genre. Goodfellas was not just another mob movie. It was an intense, fast-paced look at 3 decades of mafia life that left audiences amazed and changed cinema. But what if the most surprising stories happened behind the camera? Today we'll share what Robert De Niro, Ray Liotta, Joe Pesci, and Lorraine Bracco have kept secretive for years. Real gangsters who visited the set, improvised lines that scared crew members, a scene so realistic that FBI agents questioned the filmmakers, and the scary moment when real mobsters attended the premiere, sitting close to the actors who played them. Do you think you know Goodfellas? The cast finally spoke about what happened during the film's creation. From an actor who received real death threats to a scene that took a record-breaking 75 takes, this was not just filmmaking. It was a risky balancing act between Hollywood and the real criminal world. Martin Scorsese has said, "There were days I wasn't sure if we were making a movie about the mob or making it with them." After reading this, you'll see what he meant. You will never watch Goodfellas the same way again. The book that rarely became a film. Before Goodfellas became a classic movie, it was initially called Wise Guy, a true story by Nicholas Pileggi. Published in 1985, it tells the life of Henry Hill. The journey from the book to the movie had many challenges, and we almost missed out on one of the greatest films. "I refused to read it," Martin Scorsese said. "After making Mean Streets and Raging Bull, I was tired of crime stories. I didn't even look at the book my agent gave me. So it sat on my shelf for months." Then life changed for Martin Scorsese. He explained, "I was in a tough spot. A big studio job I counted on fell through. Desperate, I picked up Wise Guy and called Pileggi at 2 a.m. I said, 'I've been waiting for this book my whole life.' He probably thought I was just another fan." Pileggi replied, "I've been waiting for your call my whole life." They started working together, but they faced problems right away. Every studio rejected their project at first. Producer Irwin Winkler said, "It was too violent and had morally gray characters. There was no clear hero. They kept asking, 'Where's the big redemption arc? Where's the punishment at the end?' We replied, 'That's the whole point.' Later, Warner Bros. Decided to proceed but was worried about lawsuits. Scorsese said, 'We were showing real gangsters on screen. Some were still active and in witness protection. The studio's legal team almost shut us down every week.' To solve this, they changed names, adjusted timelines, and combined some characters which created new problems. Pileggi shared, Henry Hill had strict rules from witness protection. He couldn't even visit the set. His being there could endanger everyone. But he sneaked in multiple times because he couldn't resist seeing his story unfold. The script came together through intense discussions. Pileggi described it. Marty and I worked like crazy. We had 15-hour sessions. I shared raw stories from my interviews, and Marty would start pacing. "Wait, that's a scene right there, Dad. That's another scene." We built it almost like a documentary, layering in the narrative beats. Ray Liotta, who played Henry Hill, had a unique path to the role. He joked, "I basically stalked Scorsese. I confronted him at a restaurant and crashed a film festival. I thought security would kick me out the 3rd time, but I felt I was Henry. I just knew it." The studio wanted big names like Tom Cruise or Alec Baldwin. Casting director Ellen Lewis said, "Marty stood firm on Ray. He argued, he has that perfect mix. A charming guy with danger underneath, smart eyes." They finally backed off once we signed De Niro and then, of course, Pesci. De Niro's commitment to the role was serious. Pileggi recalled, "Bob actually called the real Jimmy Burke from prison. The guards ended the call once they realized who was on the line. Communicating with certain inmates was illegal, but Bob didn't care. He was deeply invested in his research. Creating an authentic screenplay was not easy." Scorsese explained, "We hired technical advisors who kept their identities secret. These were serious people who taught us important details about the mob, how money moves up the ranks, how to shave garlic with a razor blade, and how to pistol whip someone without leaving marks." The approval process was stressful. Pileggi said, "We sent drafts of some scenes to people connected to the real crew. They gave us feedback and revisions. They didn't explain their changes, saying, "This didn't happen like that. We made the changes without asking why." The film's fast-paced and chaotic style reflected this harsh reality. Scorsese emphasized, "We weren't making a typical mob movie. This was more like a documentary about a guy who happened to be a mobster." The tone had to show Henry's jittery, paranoid mindset. As pre-production ended, the risks became very real. Liotta shared, "We were showing people who might kill over a bad portrayal, and there were few security measures on set. Doors were often open, and anyone could walk in. It wasn't like today with safety protocols. I started checking under my car every night before heading home." The book Scorsese nearly passed on turned into the film he was meant to direct. But the real dangers were beginning, the improvisation that terrified a nation. In Goodfellas, two simple words, "funny how," created a memorable moment without being in the script. Ray Liotta remembers when Joe Pesci's character Tommy suddenly changed from laughing to threatening. This wasn't planned, it came from Pesci's real-life experience. Martin Scorsese explained that Pesci once told a mobster he was funny, which shifted the mood dramatically and left Pesci scared. Scorsese realized the scene needed to show how quickly laughter can turn to fear. Rather than writing it down, he let Pesci and Liotta improvise, keeping the other actors in the dark about what would happen. This method influenced much of the film. Lorraine Bracco mentioned that she got mixed notes from Scorsese, which added to the tension on set. Improvisation also happens in action scenes, such as when Tommy hits the restaurant owner with a gun. Scorsese recalled how they decided to go with Joe's idea just to let it happen, capturing real shock on camera. However, this style created problems for the crew, with script supervisor Dina Lucchese finding it hard to keep track. The famous Layla montage came from editing different murder scenes together quickly. The cocaine paranoia sequence had a loose outline to show Henry's chaotic thoughts, which led to a smooth helicopter shot that made viewers feel trapped. Liotta prepared for his role with intense method acting, leading to genuine reactions during tense moments, like when Lorraine Bracco unexpectedly clicked a gun at him, which showed his real fear. Additionally, real-life Henry Hill's phone calls often interrupted the set, and Liotta secretly included some of Hill's ideas in his performance. The film's ending, where Henry talks directly to the audience, was a last-minute change after the original version didn't work. "We were chasing lightning in a bottle," Scorsese said, capturing the energy that makes Goodfellas stand out. The real gangsters on set. While Hollywood created its version of mob life, real mobsters often watched closely. Assistant director Joseph Reedy remembers, "They'd show up unexpectedly, without introductions. They'd watch scenes and suggest small changes. A real wise guy holds a cigarette like this." Director Martin Scorsese pointed out that these visits weren't random. News spread quickly about the filming. They had law enforcement advisors for technical details. But Scorsese admitted that the real insights came from these mysterious visitors who seemed to know what was happening on set. Ray Liotta shared a creepy story from filming Goodfellas. An older man approached him saying Henry's left hand would twitch when he got jittery, claiming he had worked with the honest Henry. Lorraine Bracco had her own experience in Little Italy when a woman criticized her portrayal of Karen Hill, saying she was from the neighborhood. Costume designer Richard Bruno remembered visitors giving feedback on outfits. One insisted on changing a suit that Jimmy wouldn't wear. De Niro said the famous line, "Never rat on your friends," was too blunt initially, leading to a reshoot for more subtlety after input from the crew. Joe Pesci worked as a go-between, getting strong suggestions from locals to ensure authenticity. Producer Barbara DeFina stressed that the team was careful with unregistered consultants. Scorsese described the atmosphere on set as tense, alternating between FBI advisors and people with insider knowledge. The prison cooking scene was based on real details from former inmates. However, some moments crossed ethical lines, as visitors sometimes shared private truths. Scorsese explained they weren't glorifying the characters, but aimed to show their world accurately. Some real-life counterparts showed up at the premiere, leaving the cast with mixed feelings about a backstage note saying, "You nailed it," the unprecedented technical challenges. Goodfellas changed how movies are made by using new techniques that were groundbreaking at the time. One famous scene is the Copacabana tracking shot, which follows Henry and Karen for 3 minutes without cuts. Director Martin Scorsese wanted to put viewers in Henry's shoes to show how he feels powerful and important. This shot changed how directors planned significant camera movements. Making this film took a lot of skill. Cinematographer Michael Ballhaus spent a whole day rehearsing for the scene, trying 15 takes until they got it right. They timed every movement carefully, almost like a dance. This set a new standard for long takes in film. In another scene, they showed Henry's growing paranoia, which needed creative filming techniques. Editor Thelma Schoonmaker explained that they matched cuts to Henry's rising anxiety. The film also used many licensed pop songs, which was challenging because getting the rights almost blew the budget. In one scene, they synced the violence to Donovan's Atlantis by adjusting the footage speed to match the song's rhythm. Eye makeup needed to look realistic without bulky prosthetics. Production designer Christy Zea focused on details for each era, using custom colors to show the passage of time. Scorsese wanted the voiceover to feel real. They mixed sounds to make viewers think inside Henry's mind. They chose a tighter frame size, 1.85 to 1, to show the character's limited worlds. Innovations like freeze frames help capture the shock of intense moments. Every choice aimed to pull the audience into Henry Hill's life, letting them experience the story breath by breath. The performances that changed acting forever. The performances in Goodfellas did more than win awards, like Joe Pesci's Oscar. They changed acting standards in film. Martin Scorsese said their lack of sentimentality made these roles unique. Nobody was fishing for pity. Ray Liotta portrayed Henry Hill in a way that challenged traditional views. He said, "I never judged him," which allowed audiences to connect with Henry's excitement on the crime world without feeling he was a hero or villain. Joe Pesci's character, Tommy DeVito, is one of the most frightening in film. He used unpredictability as a weapon, making his fellow actors genuinely afraid. Scorsese noted that Pesci prepared intensely and could switch from laughing to angry, reflecting the chaos of their world. The Get Your Shine Box scene shows raw tension. Frank Vincent, who played Billy Batts, did not know how far Joe would take his anger, leading to genuine shock. Robert De Niro played Jimmy Conway, who exuded a quiet power. He understood that actual threats do not need to be shouted. Lorraine Bracco's character, Karen Hill, represents mob wives differently. She is not a victim. She actively participates in their dangerous lifestyle. This depth shows how the appeal of power and luxury can compromise morals. Paul Sorvino's Paulie set a new example for mob bosses by showing authority through calm presence. The cast's chemistry was essential. They followed an unspoken code, understanding their roles in a close-knit group without trying to upstage each other. Scorsese pointed out a significant shift. Modern leads often need redeeming qualities, but this cast embraced their flaws. They captured real behaviors, which brought authenticity to their performances. This realism blurred the lines between actor and role, making it almost like documentary footage. After Goodfellas, acting shifted to prioritize realism over charm. The legacy that transformed film. Goodfellas, released in 1990, changed how films are made and affected later works like The Sopranos and Pulp Fiction. Producer Barbara DeFina remembers young directors reaching out to learn about the film's new style right after it came out. With a $25 million budget, it earned $46 million, surprising everyone. Director Martin Scorsese said the film changed crime storytelling by mixing glamour with the harsh realities of mob life. Film scholar David Thompson pointed out that voiceovers changed from simple plot devices to deeper character insights, influencing directors like Quentin Tarantino. After the film's release, the cast faced challenges, especially Ray Liotta, who had trouble with his gangster image. Scorsese's way of telling crime stories inspired series like The Sopranos, which showed everyday struggles and violence. Visually, Goodfellas used techniques like tracking shots that are now common, and its music added to the story. The film also popularized anti-heroes, paving the way for characters like Tony Soprano and Walter White. For Henry Hill, the real-life figure, the film brought unwanted attention, making his witness protection harder. In short, Goodfellas left a strong mark on filmmakers and still connects with audiences today. Scorsese's work shows bold creativity that challenges Hollywood norms while revealing life's complexities. If you like this overview, please like and subscribe for more film insights and share your favorite Goodfellas scene in the comments. Next, we'll look into the production challenges of another classic. Thanks for being here.